Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. The gas station party was the one that stuck out in my mind with Demi playing
Oh yeah.
That was good.
Gas station party.
What's in the... What do you got there? I saw you were looking at something.
Yeah. This is one here that says, "Hi there, longtime watcher. My husband is an artist who needs a confidence boost. A big feel.
Relatable.
He's amazingly talented, and I love him so much. But there's only so much that a supportive wife can say. It would mean the world to me, or $20 to Child's Play, if anyone would be willing to give Tallher some words of encouragement. Thank you all so much for all that you do." Man, it's hard sometimes to be doing any kind of creative pursuit, especially when you are always your biggest critic.
Yes.
Like, absolutely. There are so many things where it's like, oh, I can't release this.
Yeah.
There's all these problems with it, and it's like, but is anyone else going to see the problems? Probably not. But I'm going to see the problems.
Yeah.
And but you just making stuff is the only way forward. You just got to make. A creator must create. And just even if just to get it out of your system.
Yeah.
And then once you've made the thing, then you can look at it and go, you know what, that's actually not so bad. I see some things I want to fix. And then the next thing you make will be better than that thing.
Yeah.
And be aware, I just started painting models in the past year.
Yeah.
And I ran into a portion of the creative process that I hadn't run into before.
Yeah.
And that's the portion where you get to a point and whatever you're working on just looks like bus.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's no way to fix this. You might as well just start over, but you got to push through.
Trust the
and
process.
Trust the process. Finish it up, and you'll be done. If nothing else, you'll be done, and then you will have learned and made. And that's how it happens.
Yeah. With art, one of the things that I like is, like, even if you made something that's not great or bad, or you're not happy with it or whatever, as long as you've taken it to the end, you've learned something in some way, and you can move on to make something else. It's when we get kind of stuck in that, like, 3/4, I'm not happy with it. It's that, like, you got to trust the process. The other thing I like telling folks is, if you've been doing art for a while, go back and look at some of the stuff when you started. Like, this is a standard, like, okay, go and look at your stuff at the beginning and see how far you've come. But I would say also go back and look at stuff that you made that's sort of about halfway between where you are and where you started, and look at the ones that you think were good from that time period, because enough time has passed since you've made that it's easier for you yourself to get over the imposter syndrome and recognize, hey, I was really unhappy with that at the time, but that is pretty good. Like, that is nice. I do like that photo.
Yeah.
I found that happened to me all the time.
And very important, other than using money to pay for food and shelter and the things that you need to live, no one is making you do anything.
Yeah.
You are an adult and you can stop anytime, pick it back up, change lanes, whatever you like.
Yeah. I mean, this is not necessarily advice for Tallher, but I did that. I no longer own any digital cameras or digital photography gear of any kind. I sold it all.
Cool.
It's okay to say, this isn't vibing with me anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it as much anymore, and I wanted to do other stuff.
Interesting. I don't actually know what kind of art you make, so this may not be relevant for you. But I came across this fascinating video in an interview with Rick Rubin, the music producer.
Yeah.
And this was such a cool way of looking at things. So this is not actually about sort of motivation. This is kind of a side chat. But I thought that this was fascinating, and it's something that I think it's something that we can take on board in terms of some video editing work that we work on. Not all, but there's some stuff that it works on. He's coming at it from a position of producing a music album. Right. And what he's talking about is doing something that they call the ruthless edit.
Yeah.
Which is, he's like, you're working on an album and you've made like 26 songs, and you're like, how are we going to decide what goes in the album? And it's like, because we figured the album's probably going to have like, the album's probably going to have like 10 or 11 songs on it.
Yeah.
So rather than going like, okay, let's cut it down to like 20 songs, and then cut it down to 15, and then sort of pare it back to that, is you jump right to, as he says there, that's Ask Who's Already Found the Link, the 5 or 6 songs that you can't live without. You utterly ruthless, you go to a smaller number.
Yeah.
And then you add back the songs that would make the whole better.
Yeah.
Because you're intellectually coming at it from a position of additive for improvement rather than subtractive.
Okay,
So you're coming at it from a position that you're not trying to
like
decide
that.
what it is you have to cut out.
Yeah.
You're starting smaller and going, what can I add? Like this, this is what I want.
Yeah.
What can I add to this to make this better and not worse?
It really changes the attitude on
Yeah.
the
I
outlook.
love that. I love it.
Because anytime you need to do that, it's always like, you always have that internal feeling, even if you're doing it the subtractive way, of like, well, these 4 are definitely in, and I got to figure out these other ones kind of thing. So it's just that reverse the way of thinking it kind of thing.
I thought that was super interesting.
That's brilliant.
Probably not helpful for marble sculpture, but
Well, you just chisel away everything that is not David, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
well, until it's the Venus, and then you put the David back on.
I started painting again during 2020, and I had read something somewhere. Well, that's helpful. Anyway, there is this sense of I, as an appreciator of art, my understanding of what is good art is more skilled than my ability to do art as I'm starting. So that was, because it just like I kept hitting the like, I want to do painting better. And actually in that medium with acrylic, I learned that I needed to appreciate what the paint wanted me to do rather than to try to make something perfect. And just found that over time I got better, and I would step away from it for 2 days and come back and like it a lot more. Because it was that perception of I'm trying to make this image in my head, perfectly controlled, everything's fine,
Step away,
art,
come back.
versus an expression, and that was very helpful. So I can totally relate to that feeling.
I'd also suggest trust your partner. Like, your partner cares about you, and your partner likes your art, and yes, your partner is going to be a little bit biased because they already think you're great, right? But your partner's not going to flat out lie to you about your art and be like, well, it's secretly terrible, but I'll just tell them it's great. Like, no. Your partner is gassing you up because they believe in you, and you like your partner, and you respect and love and trust your partner. Trust your partner. Trust that they're saying your art's good.
This is not a new story, but we talked the other day about the like, haha, what the alternate universe of where I didn't play trombone instead of drums. But another huge inflection point in Loading Ready Run's progression, and I know that I've talked about this many times, was Unskippable winning the Escapists Film Festival. And that was the problem where, and I would find out later that this is something that Mystery Science Theater encounters when they're doing their riffing, is that by the time that Paul and I finished the pilot that we were going to submit, we thought it was terrible. Because all the jokes, we knew all the jokes, right? It was like, okay, this isn't funny. And you know, it was done, but it was like, I'm not even going to submit this. And it was the night before that Kathleen was like, you should submit it. It's really funny. Also, it's done. You should just do it. There's literally nothing to lose for you submitting this. And I was like, okay, fine, you're right. And if that hadn't happened, that was a huge knock-on effect. So
we just had a microcosm of that working on the opening for Night Watch tonight. Because while we were recording the stuff, Jordan did the ENA, it's in the game joke. And it's just him, Jason, and I in the room at this point. We're talking about him working on different stuff, and neither of us really react to it. And Jordan's like, oh, okay, well, like, maybe we could cut that one. You know, like, it's not really working. Like, people don't like it. It's like, no. Like, we've all been making this joke for like 10 minutes. We've all heard it like 5 or 6 times. It's funny as heck. You have to keep it in. We just didn't react because we've been saying this joke several times while we've been recording it, and then when we showed the preview to everybody, cracked up the whole room.
Yeah, this actually relates directly back to Trust the Process, which is, again, as I was watching an interview with Mike Nelson from Mystery Science Theater, and talking about how after they've done all the revisions and stuff, they don't find it funny, and it's. You have to. I'm sort of paraphrasing his words. You have to have faith in yourself that you are funny, and that this joke was funny when you wrote it, and it was a funny joke, and it is funny now, even though you think it's currently terrible, right? Wow. And so, and that I think is applicable to more art stuff as well. That it's like you have to have like, even though in the moment you're like, oh, this is bad. No, have faith that you are actually good at what you do.
And to add to that,
please,
the cult of done.
Oh yes.
Being able to know when to say yes, this is done. I don't need to do anything more to it, or I'm just doing more things to it because I don't have the confidence to say that this is done and I will work on a new project.
Yeah. And we as artists all need to be reminded of these things ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, we're giving this advice because we know that it's the advice that we need sometimes. It's the advice that has helped us and that we need to remember when we are experiencing that feeling as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche, but I'm definitely fond of perfect is the enemy of done.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I know that this is a big thing Alex has talked about a lot. I saw Alex in chat earlier. I mean, your art collection PDF, I think was it not just called like filled pages?
It's right on the top of his bar. Keep filling pages.
The fill pages
right?
thing.
It's like that's.
I love that.
Yeah. It's because otherwise, like if you don't make it, right? You don't just. A filled page is better than an empty one, right? So.
Yeah. Big ups to Alex.
I hope that helped.
Yeah.
$20, please.
Now get to work.
Desert bus therapy is weird.
Yeah.
Just screaming and demanding money?